To heal the brain, no pain inflict them. I pray for real, I pray for real. I talk to God, then wait for real. Can't fake the fun, can't fake the feel. I pray for fun, I pray for real. I pray for y'all, I pray for y'all. When I hadn't been on TV and I hadn't seen the CG, yeah, they using every movie. Everything ain't always PG. Sometimes it get kinda creepy when you looking out the window. You the one holding the squeegee. Who the one that's gonna clean up all of this mess? Big ball in distress. You gon' say his name one day. I wish you all the best. I give y'all a guess. Answer every test. All I did was rush, I promise he did all the rest. I pray for vision, I pray for wisdom, I pray for weapons against the system. I pray for freedom to free the victims, to heal the brain, no pain inflict them. I pray for real, I pray for real. I talk to God, then wait for real. Can't fake the fun, can't fake the feel. I pray for fun, I pray for real. I pray for y'all, I pray for y'all.
Hello and good evening to everyone. This is Confessions of a Young Adult. I am Cedric Carter, Minister Cedric Carter, your main host, and then my co-host, my man
Elijah Peterson.
It's good to be back on the show this week. I missed the last show. I tuned in to see y'all's conversation. Y'all did y'all thing. Y'all held it down. Y'all seemed like y'all didn't need me, so I was a little jealous on my, you know what I'm saying? Sure. I was in another state, but it's good to be back on the show with the people of Confessions of a Young Adult. How's your week going so far, man?
Pretty good. I've had a good week, man. I haven't had any runouts with any crazy Trump supporters, so I'm blessed for that.
Man, we're gonna dive into that in our show this show. But don't forget, do unto others as you will have them do unto you, for this is the golden rule. Matthew 7:12. So in everything, do unto others as you will have them do it to you, for this sums up the law of the prophets. Matthew 7:12. Like you said, with the whole presidential election, we're gonna dive right into that in our first topic. And then in the second topic, which can get very interesting, we're going to be discussing child support and how that should go as when it comes to fathers and mothers, those who aren't together, and then that whole nine. But that, I feel like that's going to get very intense. But with that being said, my week's been going good so far. Like I said, I tuned into the show last time. We were supposed to have two guests, but unfortunately they weren't able to make it this week, so we're going to try to reschedule to have them on at a later date. But to get right into it, man, with our first topic, this election, man, 2020, we got old Big Trump out the office. I call him Big Trump, man. We got Trump out the office. Joe Biden is now in, well, he's not in yet, but he has won the election. How do you think that has rolled over on the masses?
I'm kind of 50-50 on Joe and Trump. I don't hate Trump by any means. I think he did an outstanding job as a president.
From which standpoint?
He can run his mouth. I think a lot of people criticize him for the way that he handled COVID, but I think, me personally, he did a great job. For one, China wasn't giving him like straight numbers at the beginning. They were saying COVID was like, it wasn't that bad. It's okay. It's not going to be like a pandemic. And so for him to get false information that he was getting from the beginning, I think he handled it well. I don't think he was trying to hide it. I just think it was a case of he didn't get the facts from China. And he said that multiple times. And people still criticize him for that.
So when you found out who the winner was, were you excited, or were you just like, oh, here, Joe Biden's going to be the next president? Like, what was your raw emotion? Because for me, it was, so this was the first time, in honest speaking, the first time I actually somewhat paid attention to the presidential election.
Same here.
So when I was 18, back when Obama was voted into office, I really didn't pay attention. In all honesty, I kind of knew he would already win just because he was black. So we was going to get him in there, you know what I mean? Just in all honesty, unless he had some terrible policies and this and that. But as far as the policy and all that goes, I can't really, because I wasn't really that informed at that time.
Yeah.
But my raw reaction, it was kind of, in all honesty, it was kind of like, I had mixed emotions about it, man, because as detrimental as Donald Trump has been to the masses when it comes to navigating his stance across to those who support him, and not everyone supports him as a racist or feels the same way he does. Some is just, I'm a Republican, have always been a Republican, so I'm going to stay a Republican regardless of who's running for the Republican Party. But I feel like Trump really exposed America in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes I feel like God he allowed this to happen for a reason. And I'm actually glad Trump won the first time around, because you really got to experience just a glimpse of how people used to feel back in the day. You know what I mean? But back then, they could really go full force and do some, some crazy racial things, not even just verbally, but physically to people, and get away with it due to the color of their skin and stuff like that. But with Trump winning, I feel like people were allowed to and be brave in like this new modern time to not just be racist, but like really express how they feel. And I feel like now people are gonna go back into their closet of like we could tell okay, that's one of them ones. Now I feel like they're gonna like revert back into that closet because Trump isn't there to advocate for them. Well, if I feel this way, well, look at Trump. Of course, he's our president. You know what I'm saying? So he's not the advocate for them to feel that way anymore. So I had a little bit of mixed emotions because for me, in my heart, I feel like no matter who's the president, America's not going to change. The only way America is going to change is if the citizens decide to come together as one with unity and love to change the United States. I don't care who we elect into the presidency unless it's Jesus coming down from off the throne, God coming down himself, literally. But until then, and we know that ain't happening due to Scripture, you know what I'm saying? But America will never change until the body of people decide to come together and hash out the differences and choose to love each other. But until then, no matter who's in office, it's either going to be thrown in our face or it's going to be done behind closed doors like it used to be. So that's really how I feel. It was, I mean, it's good to get him out because Joe Biden seems to have a better message. Now, as far as every policy goes, I can't sit here and tell you what every policy was. But just to change the pace, and and more people wanted to get out to experience, like, man, I voted, regardless if it was irrational voting or I voted because I really believe he'll be a better president due to his policies and this and that, or if it was just, we got to get this guy Trump out of here because he's, you know what I'm saying? Regardless, it made people want to get out and experience that, you know what I mean? So for me, the whole, I had kind of a mixed emotion because I actually liked that people were like being the way they were, regardless if it was good or bad. Like we could see it, but you know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, it's and then you got to deal with the gullible white male Trump voters, like man, they even just male, but just gullible white Trump supporters in general. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
see, my biggest issue with the Trump supporters was the guns thing. I feel like half of those supporters who have guns or are getting armored up or whatever are not even, fans of guns or built like that, as young people say nowadays. They're not even built like that. But because they see, like you said earlier, they see the president saying, "Oh yeah, this is cool. We got to armor up. Yeah, we the strongest nation in the world."
Mhm.
They just being followers and be like, "Oh yeah, guns are cool. That's trending right now. Let's get guns." See, I just can't get with the movement like that, man.
Yeah, I kind of felt like it was, in a sense, like it was a movement. Like you said, I agree with there, but a part of me feels like it goes back to that Trump was an advocate to be like to
Ignorant.
express,
Yeah.
to be ignorant in the most irrational way. So he advocated that. He embraced people being that way. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I feel like people were getting guns because they were expecting some civil war, or there was going to be this
Yeah.
big clash because they were just ready just to shoot somebody up. You know what I'm saying? just out of that notion or that energy or scope of, like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that was a very dangerous thing. But those who have pure hate in their heart, man, they can, and they don't bother me. You know what I'm saying? If that's how you are, as long as you don't come to me thinking something like, I don't care how Christian I am, like, you're going to test me, I ain't turning the other cheek. Just know that.
So I'm gonna ask you: are you a fan of guns? Like, you believe you should be
Um,
armored up?
There's a difference between should I have a gun to feel protected or to be armored up. Armored up is like, what am I embracing for war?
Yeah.
Or am I just having a gun to protect my family, myself, and my car or my place of living? To, you know what I'm saying? If someone was to try to break in or try to rob me or something, yeah. But as far as just to have guns to be armored up for whatever reason, no. But I'm not an advocate against it. Like, there has to be a thin line of, like, do we want free will, or are we just gonna tell everybody you can do this but you can't do that,
Yeah.
type of thing? You know what I mean? Without stipulations. My question back to you: do you feel like guns are a good or a bad thing? Of course, they're dangerous.
Very dangerous. I'm not a fan. I feel like the only people who need guns are police officers. I feel
We
like
can barely give it to them too,
I
but
mean,
that's
yeah,
a
I
whole
feel
nother,
you.
that's a
I
whole
feel
nother
you,
subject.
but a lot of people say, like, if somebody break in, if they didn't have a gun, I wouldn't need a gun. If there were no guns, nobody would need a gun.
Yeah, but just
So,
the threat of a gun, just like,
I mean,
you know what
I
I'm
feel
saying?
threatened I don't feel protected. To me, there's no way I can feel protected with a gun in the house. Anybody can get a hold of that gun at any point in time.
Well, you got to
So
be the
there's
only
no
one that's
way.
aware of where it's at, but you know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, no, yeah, I feel you. I'm just not a fan. I don't do guns. I'm sorry.
So how do you feel about the going from the Trump supporters? How do you feel about the Biden supporters who were such an advocate of get Trump out of here? We don't support, that movement of hatred and
I hate to say it, but I
vitriol.
think most people voted for Joe Biden strictly off of his character, not off politics. I think a lot of people were just tired of seeing Trump as the face of America. I don't think they like. Amber was saying this earlier. Some people look at the president like they Captain America or something, like they finna save the world. When that's not reality.
It's not.
To me, the president is like a mascot to America. It's like, this is the man.
And they don't even really have that
you know what I'm
much
saying?
power.
Exactly. That's why I
If
feel
you-
like he's just. A
I ain't
face.
pay that much attention in social studies and American government, but I know a little bit when
Yeah.
it comes to how much power the president has.
But I'm gonna say this about Joe. Trump still got a lot of them senator seats, so Joe ain't gonna have too much say so. Because before it gets to him, he got to go through Trump people. I noticed that Joe probably only got, like, I don't know how many seats he has exactly, but I know Trump is very overpowering him in those seats.
I agree with that, but anything can happen. You never know.
Yeah.
Because we don't know everything that he's. I mean, we know what he has said he's going to do or wants to do, but as far as the whole, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know until it happens, and
Yeah.
until he puts a policy in place of I want to get this approved or whatever because this is good for the American people or whatever, and they just denying everything back to back, then we'll never know. But until that time, we just have to wish and hope for the best. But like I said, regardless who's the president, America ain't gonna change until our neighborhoods can feel safe, and not just the suburban neighborhoods or the more protected neighborhoods. Until America's people come together with love and unity. First God, second with love, and then three with unity, then we're just in a spiraling circle because we'll never get anywhere because that circle will just continue to go down from there. But how do you feel about Harris, Biden's co-partner, with her being the first black woman?
Yeah,
Which
congratulations.
Which I think is very dope. How do you feel about, before we get into what her position, how do you feel just in with a black woman being appointed, first off, given that opportunity, then...
I don't want to hurt these women's feelings. I think she's where she needs to be. That's what I'm going to say. They're getting a little bit too close to the top now. You're getting a little bit too close to the top now.
But what makes you feel like they're getting a little bit too close to the top?
Look here, I'm not a fan of a woman being president. Just like a woman shouldn't. Look here, a woman shouldn't be in the pulpit, right? A woman don't need to be president. That's all I'm saying.
That's very
If there's a man that can't lead this country, then something wrong. And I feel like that's when the world gonna end. The day that we elect a woman to lead this country is the day this world will end.
Oh, absolutely not. I disagree emphatically with that.
What?
A woman
I
leading
feel like that's
America
the
ain't
ultimate
worse than...
ungodly thing is to have a woman. Not saying women aren't built to do it. I just feel like it's the man's role. You know what I'm saying? Through what I've read through the Bible, based off my experience,
position to be...
it's the man's role. And the minute that a woman is doing it, something wrong.
I agree. I agree
So,
to
a lot of y'all out here saying Pamela need to run for president. Cut it out. She need to stay where she at. Pastor, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know Pastor gonna have something to say about that. Because I think Pastor would actually vote for Pamela Harris. But be careful.
I would say the whole woman in the pulpit, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
when it comes to a woman running the United States, I think that's very...
You don't think you can compare the two?
No, because if God can use a donkey or if God can use many things, you can't say God can't use a woman to speak His gospel. Now the Bible...
that's not what I'm saying, but...
Well, you said in the pulpit, are you just saying
Yeah,
at the
like
top,
at the
or
top.
are you saying a woman can't be a pastor, or a woman just can't, like...
At the top. To me, a woman should never be at the top of everything. Because it's basically saying there's not a man around to do it.
That's not saying there's a man around to do it. That just means she was gifted enough to be at the top.
All right. Wait, say it again.
Our pastor has spoken that
A woman should not
a
be in the
woman should
pulpit.
not be...
So-
No, he didn't say in the pulpit. He said at the top. Correct?
Yeah, the pulpit would be considered the top, like the pastor. That's the top.
Yeah, well, that...
Pastor.
It's not that I disagree. It's not that
telling you, I'm
I
getting
know.
somewhere.
It's not that I don't disagree, but it's difficult for me to say a woman can't be
I'm not gonna say can't
be used.
Should not. I'm not gonna say can't because they have the ability.
You can't
They have
say
the smarts.
should not either, though.
Should not. That's what I'm saying.
I feel like when you say should not is so
It's not
basically
their
you're saying
role.
God could only use men. But if we're gonna go that far,
No,
then
I think He uses women in different ways. Like He used Mother Mary, a miracle pregnancy. You know what I'm saying? Like they get used in different ways. It's not their job to me to lead.
Yeah, but a woman spreading the gospel isn't leading. Now, pastoral,
No.
a
She can
pastoral
go out
position,
and evangelize. Yes, she can do.
but she can't preach in the church.
Preach in the pulpit. Look at here. I told Amber I would love to hear First Lady pray, like during maybe on first
Everybody
Sunday or
isn't
whatever.
gifted
she
that,
can
though.
pray, but to come up here and do a sermon, no.
Everybody isn't gifted that.
I feel you.
But
I hear both
just
sides.
my opinion, God can use anybody. Just how He has used animals in the Bible. If God can use an animal, He can use a woman. He can use a child. He can use anybody He sees fit, in whatever role.
Yeah, I agree.
But as far as pastoral, I can agree with the pastoral position. Now, if a woman speaking the gospel, that's a whole nother subject. But with the whole, we kind of got off track because that one was gonna be pretty intense.
They loving this. Nah, we gonna keep going. What's?
Uh,
can't
so
really see that,
Amelia, I'm sorry, said God can also make the rocks cry out. Is that what they said?
The rocks.
Yeah.
Amelia, you a woman. What they got to do? What they got to do with you trying to run for president, Amelia?
No, she was saying she was disagreeing with me on which standpoint. Mm-hmm.
That they should. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. Just because a woman can be president.
No,
I guess that's what Amelia
when
talking
it comes to
about,
that, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm strictly
the
talking
pulpit.
about speaking the gospel.
Yeah, I agree. A woman can go out and evangelize.
So that's okay, but that's just like saying a woman, just like how a woman gives birth to a child thinking the father is going to be there, but the father completely eradicates and disappears, but
That's
God
ungodly.
has only given her strength or whatever to do parental roles just as a woman when she has to pick up the whole load. I feel like God can, it's circumstantial, I'll say that. Not everybody can be used, not everybody has that gift, because there's some women out here that are way more anointed than some of the men
sure.
that are out here speaking the gospel and this and that. Now that's not me trying to take the women's side and this and that. That's just me speaking.
not at all. Yeah,
that's just me
facts.
speaking a fact.
I agree.
So
I agree
if a woman if a woman is anointed through the threshold of God and this and that, I feel like she can be used. Now outside of that, I agree 1000%. But it's a very thin line with that.
Use in what way?
A way to spread the gospel, and that's just not singing.
Spread it where and how?
In church, evangelizing,
All right,
anything.
how's she gonna spread it in church without preaching?
Just like there's women preachers that spread the gospel and actually help people.
I'm just trying to see where you're coming from.
And I'm explaining. So just how there are women preachers. Now pastors, that's a whole nother, because my grandfather, who was a pastor, was very, strict on like how you feel. But when it comes to an anointed child of God, regardless of gender, I feel like God can use anybody. Regardless if it's preaching in the church for a sermon, or regardless if she's in the pulpit, if she's standing to the side of the pulpit, or
that's
whatever.
where you're going wrong right there.
How is that going wrong?
So you think a woman could be in the pulpit? In a sense. In a sense.
He's calling me, or is he calling? Okay.
All right, Pastor, please help me. Help me.
Okay. So what are y'all talking about? What are you talking about? Let's dissect what you guys are talking about. You guys talking about what?
All right, right now we talking about women being at the top, right? Top meaning in the
I'm
church.
not arguing
top
women being at the top.
Pastor. And life top being president.
All right. Let's take these separately.
All right.
In the worldly view, period. We are co-equals in the world, and so when you try co-equal in the world, there's let's not talk about president, because that's an elected position. But if you talk about a person can lead a group of men across the lake the best way, whoever's talented enough, God can use them to do that. We see that throughout the Bible. We see it in Esther. We see it in the New Bible. So God has used women to lead people So let's talk about that leading people. But when God put his word out for being a pastor, he made the strict things about who could be a pastor. And in those words, every time it's about pastor, elder, it talks about being a man of one husband or this and that. So there's an idea of why God created man first. And I know this becomes, we try egotistical and all that stuff. But when it comes to God's process, God's way, it's always been that God, then man, then woman. Not woman behind him, but as equal workers. But the man has always been God puts the man in the head. And throughout the scripture, men are to be the head of the household. Man is always be the head of the household. You continue to hear that. So why would God change that in his house? Now there are plenty of women who can teach the word, preach the word, talk the word, and all that stuff. And so, but they have not been called to do that. So even Priscilla and Aquila, you notice that Priscilla is the more dominant person in that relationship because Paul called on Priscilla to do a lot of stuff. But Priscilla never called herself a pastor or a leader of God's church. So you gotta understand the dynamics of it, and it can't be taken care of in just a one pastor because to get into the dichology of it, you would have to dig into the scripture. But the base thing is, in God's order of service, has always been God, then man, and then woman, not below him, but in the order of his structure is God, then man, then woman. But that does not mean a woman is limited in anything, but it just, when I see the scripture, when I get to see the scripture, and just based upon my preaching and teaching, a woman is not to be the pastor of a church. But it does not mean that she can't lead people because throughout the Bible, we see that throughout. So when it comes to worldly events, I'm not going to say the world's going to end because we get a woman president. But I mean, if that's what the people want to vote in, that's what they're going to vote in. And so I'm not so strong that said a woman cannot be president. And I'm not going to say that they can or cannot be, but that's just a voting thing. And so in the world, there have been some great women leaders in the world, leaders of companies, leaders of, you got great military women leaders who have led groups of people to do certain things. And so the conquest of the West was led by a woman who led them through the West America to learn about that. So I say all that to say this, that when it comes to spirituality in the church, yes, I fully agree that in my thinking, the leader of a church should be a man. And that's regardless of how lacking men are in the world or how insufficient men are in the world, because we have a world full of lazy men. Regardless of how inefficient is that, is what God's word said. Because I heard you give an example. It says that if a woman has a baby and the man's not there, that's never was intent with God. God never intended to have babies. I agree. His intent was to get married, husband and wife, and have children. So the intent has always been the man lead. Yeah. And we have done a bad job of teaching men how to lead. And bad ain't even a word, Pastor. On the podcast Sunday says that until we start showing people how to lead, we're going to be left with women trying to take the place of men in leadership because men have been lacking. So we can't take our norms of society and say that's what God wanted. Like you said, God will use a donkey, but do you think he wants to use a donkey, or do you want to use who he created to do those things? And
he wants to. That's a great point.
I'm done. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but you guys are into a great conversation that takes some digging into it because we have been, a lot of times we go through life and the world starts to dictate to us more what the Bible said instead of the Bible dictating to them because. This was my grandfather said this, and my great-great-grandfather did this, and each time it's dilute it down to now we have it mixed up and messed up. So anyway, that's my 3 cents.
Pastor, we greatly appreciate you for calling in to Saving Elijah's Bacon tonight. We greatly appreciate you calling in, Pastor. Just to clarify what we're discussing, but also bringing a biblical side of things from a pastoral standpoint, because that's not only what you've been called to do, but during times of discussion, things need the facts need to be brought out, and which you did that here. So we thank you greatly for coming on to our show to clarify some things for us. Now, just to add on to that, I agree about the leading position, but just like he said, when a man won't do it, God will use who he has to use, and that's more so
That
what
was
I
my point.
mean
A man
when it comes
should be
to.
doing it. But we about to get ready for break. Robinson telling us to take a
Yeah,
break.
so we're gonna go into our break. We might dive back into this a little bit, but you think this subject is hot on the block? Our next topic is gonna get hot and steady in here because we're talking about child support. We'll be back from break here in a bit. Stay tuned. Leave your comments.
Look at the gleam, look at the beam, I'm shining. Look at the chain, look at the rings, we been grinding. Look at the toy, look at the numbers, they ain't lying. Look at my eye, you see the grind, I cannot hide it. Gotta be God, it's gotta be Jesus. Gotta be God, gotta be Jesus. Oh my God, gotta be Jesus. Gotta be God, gotta be Jesus. Yeah. Ain't no more capping, I'm back on the beat. I graduated in 2015. That was a summer that I couldn't sleep. I had to look to the Lord for peace. Not some labels that wanted to me. Can't even me, I'm out of reach. I got my mama a horn of the whip, and she got the keys. It isn't a lease. Now I'm just scared of me losing it all. I know that pride before the fall. I got some brothers I can't even call. Could be like a friend when there's money involved. I make a bang on the beat, kaboom. I thought to God in my sleep, I do. She don't even call me RG, Raul. Ain't nothing new, it's gotta be God. It's gotta be Jesus. Gotta be God. Gotta be Jesus. Oh my God. Gotta be Jesus. Gotta be God. Gotta be Jesus. Look at the gleam, look at the beam, I'm shining. Look at the chain, look at the rings, we been grinding. Look at the toy, look at the numbers, they ain't lying. Look at my neck. What I did? Holy.
Gotta be King Jesus. He gon' pull up for me, yeah. Come out the east, I'm an Easter. So I throw it to eat, yeah. Had to learn how to breathe, and I was suffering and wheezing. I don't got any kingpin, and you better believe it. I can't get enough. Had a mean pass with a bitch who would laugh at that green cash. In a V-class, they were cruising around with that ski mask. Like I'm He-Man, trying to live for the city, I'm scheming. I'm a grown man, when they cap on the gang, I ain't even mad. How about that? None of these folk tryna build up a team. Might as well swing, we can get up back. Working all day, we can turn up night. I never went down even without a fight. If you win the way, move, I'm not polite. Everybody leaving when I pull out the light. Took a left turn, but I still got the right. It gotta be God.
It's gotta be Jesus. Gotta be God. Gotta be Jesus. Oh my God. Gotta be Jesus. Gotta be God. Gotta be Jesus. Look at the gleam, look at the beam, I'm shining. Look at the chain, look at the rings, we been grinding. Look at the toy, look at the numbers, they ain't lying. Look at my eye, you see the grind, I cannot hide it. Gotta be God.
Welcome back to Confessions of a Young Adult. I am Cedric Carter again, your main host, and my co-host, or the show's co-host, the show's co-host is
Elijah Peterson.
I just realized I be saying that my co-host. I need to say the show's co-host.
I am your co-host.
No. We don't roll. We a partnership. You know what I'm saying?
Look here. Last show, I realized how hard your job is.
Hey man, you did pretty
I'm
good
co-host.
though, man. You did pretty good, man.
Co-host.
But as we get back into the show, the first topic was a really good topic where we really dived in into the presidential election from the Trump's perspective. I'm sorry, from the Joe Biden to Pamela Harris aspect and what she means for Black women, and then we took a deep dive into women being in pastoral or spreading the gospel in many ways. Then the main man who allowed us to do this show, Pastor Alton McKinley, called in to save our bacon with a couple things, you know what I mean? And he gave us some knowledge from a biblical, but not just a biblical, but what he believes in, and this and that. But now, our second topic, we're going to get into child support. How fair is child support? And I have a child. He's 5 years old. My young Prince Jackson. And
sir.
I know you have a kid as well.
2 kids.
Two kids.
No child support, thank the Lord.
You a lucky man.
Thank the Lord.
But
Thank the Lord.
yeah, with this whole child support, man. What are your opinions on child support? Is it fair? When is it fair? When is it unfair for the man? How do you feel about that?
From the homies that I know off the block that's on child support, very unfair.
Why?
Main reason, income for the child, quote unquote, child support goes to one parent, not both.
Okay.
So, you pay child support.
Unfortunately, I do.
Check. Check form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go straight to the mother. She can cash this check anywhere she wants to. Bank of America, direct deposit
They don't
into
even
her
come in the
account.
check. It's direct deposited.
Oh,
What do you
see,
mean?
right to the Bank of America. Look at here. I know some women that get sent paper checks, so they can cash it wherever they want to, PLS, wherever they want to.
Yeah, I ain't doing
Pocket that
that.
money in their pockets. They have control over whether they want to spend that money on the child
Mm-hmm.
or go balling at the club that week,
Mm-hmm.
pay their car note, whatever they want to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, they shouldn't have that freedom.
I don't disagree with that. I feel like child support is fair and unfair. It's fair to fathers who have decided to
I
give
agree
up
with
that right
for sure.
to basically to just denounce themselves as father and choose to not be in their child's life due to vindictiveness or whatever towards the child, or not the child but the mother, or just for whatever reason they want to be a bum and choose not to be a father. But it is unfair, and I believe this wholeheartedly, to the father that is there through and through, doing what he's supposed to do, carrying his responsibilities as a father. That I believe because there's many instances. Well, first, before I go into that, to go into what you said, it is not my responsibility. And this is where my parents, because I used to argue with my dad about, well, not just my dad, but my parents about, like, what is she doing with this money? Like, she ain't finna be out here buying all these shoes and this and that on my time. You know what I'm saying? This and that. But at the end of the day, you can't tell another parent what to do with what they have received, regardless if it's fair or unfair. Yeah, it's a very touchy and emotional topic and subject because that's one that used to really get me dialed in emotionally.
Especially when it's clear.
Yeah.
When it's clear that the money is not going to the child but being used on her personal. Look, I'm a firm believer that your child should look better than you at all times.
I agree.
And this generation, it's the complete opposite.
I
Child
agree.
looking like a bum, but mom over here balling
Nails
with makeup
done.
on. I be like, bruh,
I agree.
that's straight child
And
support.
it is. And another thing that really bothers me is the mothers that know they can use child support against the father. I think that is some evil stuff, man. Because one, especially in Texas, because Texas is really hard when it comes to that child support stuff. Unless you can have a civilized conversation with the other adult and y'all can come to an agreement or whatever. But if you get them courts involved, boy, you basically SOL.
That's a
Excuse
wrap.
my language, but you know what that means.
Yeah.
When it comes to the court of justice, unless that parent is unfit, she on drugs, or you know what I'm saying,
But
deal
even
with certain
then,
things.
they ask for so much from these fathers and evidence and receipts and unrealistic stuff. It's just they make it too hard.
I agree, and I think, for me, I just don't like when if I'm set to pay a certain amount, I feel like you shouldn't be asking me for nothing else. Like,
I agree. Yeah.
you know what I mean? When it's my time to get them, I'll spend that money. And that's the thing I don't like. Like, I feel like child support should be put on a separate card. It shouldn't
There you
to
go.
this person's bank account. It shouldn't go to. It should be on a personal
They
card
go back and
where
forth
there's a
on
list of baby things that's literally for a child between the age of 1 to whatever age, and this is the only thing you can buy. I believe it should be that way because I feel like at that point, when you have the child, you have these specific funds to go towards the child, not just you. Because just because I pay child support, that's coming out of my money. I still got to
Exactly.
pay rent. I still got to pay my car note. I still got to pay cell phone. I
And
still got
pay
to
for the child when he come over here. So It ain't
Exactly.
like you sending money over here or sending
Exactly.
clothes over here. No, I still gotta buy his clothes, buy the food, buy all this stuff, and buy it for your household. So I just don't get it.
I agree. I have a deep, not resentment. What's the word? I have a. I don't want to say hate because hate is a strong word, but them mothers that use that child support as a stick to, like a grudge to get back at the father when the father just wants to be in the kid's life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those type of women can really. We're just pray for me on that one because you know what I'm saying. I can get in
will,
trouble
man.
with how
I
I feel
will.
with that, but I think in the grand scheme of it all, it's the whole co-parenting thing is a very tough subject because just to bring Pastor back into this, he spoke about the man's responsibility from the intent standpoint that when God gave us the ability, well, the women, I'm sorry, to have an ability to have a child through a man, interjecting and intercourse. His intent was for that to be a combination, to be brought into one, to be a family, and the man be the leader and the woman is second. Then you know what I mean, and this and that. But through time, that has really gone out of course and out of whack, and that's just everywhere right now. But not to get too far into that, but when it comes to this child support stuff, man, it's really difficult because it's really unfair to pull for a father that's greatly involved. It is unfair for his check to basically be in the negative. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to look at every check like, okay, I'm negative set amount, and this is what I gotta do to basically either cancel that out or like make sure that it's not that negative on me to where it impacts each decision I make down the line. But for each parent that is involved, shouldn't be on child support. Like that should be like a rule nationwide that if both parties are involved in doing their responsibility on being a parent, like I feel like child support shouldn't even be an option. The only thing that needs to be agreed upon is the time each parent is going to spend with the child. I had a situation here recently where I had my child every other week, and I was told that can't be done anymore because I need the
Wow.
money to pay my bills and stuff like
Wait,
that.
Whoa. That don't mean
Yeah, man, it's
these women. Look,
um,
I also said, what did I say last show? I said, I said, if a woman like absolutely needs, can't survive, can't take care of the child without child support, why not just give majority of the rights to the father who already has the income for it versus cutting his check 70%?
do you feel okay? Let me ask you this: do you feel and y'all answer back in the comments with this subject? Man, I just forgot what I was about to say. Amber commented. She said even child support out of the divorce. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, we ain't
even
even
child
gonna talk about
support
divorce,
out
man.
of divorce is unfair when.
Oh Lord.
When divorce is unfair when a man has to pay. We're not getting on. We're not even going to touch divorce. What did Pastor say? Pastor said, a great reason to wait. Just, Pastor, come on, you were young.
A great reason to what?
Let's be. We have all fallen short of God's glory. I'm gonna leave it at that, because I don't care how holy you are in today's day and time, or how seasoned you are in your sanctity when you come into the house of God. We have all fallen short at that young age.
A great reason to wait.
What did he say?
A great reason to wait for what? To have kids?
No, to have sex. That's a great reason.
You know what, parents? I'm a parent as well. This is why I will not be having a sex talk with my son ever. Look at here. I wasn't interested into sex until my mom kept saying, "Are you having sex? Are you having sex? Are you having sex?" And I was like, dude, I don't even know what sex is. No, I'm not having sex. But since you're bringing it up, I'm finna do some research. And that's how I got interested. So, yeah, I blame my mom.
Yeah,
If she wasn't, if you're having sex, are you having sex? Make sure you're protected. Look at here. Leave me alone.
I think that's all based on like what side of, like, I think it's better for the parent to teach it than the streets to teach it.
No.
Oh no. I can't.
No.
Because the streets
they have classes for this. No.
You don't get those classes until
ed.
you're in high school.
Exactly.
So you saying you should wait?
Exactly.
You shouldn't, or you should wait until high school.
They shouldn't even know what sex is until high school.
Listen, with electronics and all that stuff going on, kids gonna know about sex.
They might.
Early on.
They might. I had a phone when I was 12. I still didn't know what it was.
Yeah, but when we was 12, come on now, things is way different now than when we were 12.
No, because when we walked into the gas stations, I still seen the DVDs with the triple X's on them, and I wasn't interested.
The triple X.
That's how it was back in the day. It was DVDs at the gas station.
So, your little boy said, do you think child support is a hidden, gully punishment for divorce or fornication? That's actually a great question. Do you think child support is I don't know if it's a hidden, because it's such a noticeable thing that women do and use these days against men. So I wouldn't say it's a hidden. Oh wait, does it say godly or gully? I'm sorry. Oh, my bad, yellow boy. Hidden godly punishment. Ooh, nah, because I should not be punished as a father.
Is that last word fornication?
Yeah, that's fornication. I should not be punished as a father who has decided, not even decided, I want it to be in my child's life from day one and day out. And I shouldn't be punished
was
because
God and Mother Mary married when they had a baby?
Huh?
Or was that out of wedlock? I just want to know.
How can you say that?
It was a miracle.
Yeah, so that
Look
means,
at here.
So that means,
it was a miracle, Pastor. It was a miracle. I know this.
What was your question again? Because you just
no, they did not have actual intercourse.
Yeah, so that debunks
they still had a baby.
That debunks your question then. Because what was your question again? So ask your question again. Because I don't even think you realize what you asked. So ask your question again.
I realized what I asked, and I realized it's off the wall. But you
it
know,
ain't even
I'm
off the wall.
Cat. Was God and Mother Mary? That's who. That right? God put the miracle baby in Mother Mary, right? Mm-hmm. Were they married at the time they had this child?
Do you know who Mary was married to, or
Joseph, right?
All right, so are you saying you want to talk about off the wall? Wait, did y'all hear what he just said? I just asked him a question. So, because I'm really about to see where you at now.
Yeah. School me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be schooled. That's my role.
He asked this question again on if God was married to Mary, and I asked him who was married to Mary at the time of this. So, are you saying Joseph is God?
No.
Why not?
I'm saying.
I'm not married to, but
all right. Mary wasn't married at all. No ring on the finger.
Yeah, but Joseph was near. Yeah, they were supposed to be getting married, but
I done
that's what I'm
forgot-
saying.
look, I done forgot where I was
Joseph
going
was
with this.
near. Joseph was near, so that's
It
what I'm
was
saying.
something about Whitlock. He said something fornication. Is
He
it a
said,
punishment?
is child support a godly punishment, a hidden godly punishment for divorce and fornication?
I was going somewhere with this, but I lost it.
I would say no, because I shouldn't
I
be.
had a brain fart.
If that's the case, then it needs to be on both parents and not just the father.
I agree.
I got to deal with her. It didn't know she got to deal with me.
Deal with. The baby, we both got to deal with the baby.
But I will say, to go back biblically, God does speak on sex before marriage and that whole.
Marriage equals fornication.
You said,
Yeah, I know.
and that whole, yeah, it's not just, it's a sin. So as far as when it comes to punishment, if there's punishment, it's on both sides of the party, because that's why I led with pastor saying the intent for God's purposes for allowing us, the woman to have an ability to have a child, but the man being the sperm donor, whatever you want to call it, it really goes, that's a whole nother subject. But as far as the child support thing, I think it's fair to fathers who have chosen, or not just father, because there's even women that's on child support. It's fair for the parent who has decided not to be in the child's life, but unfair for the parent who has decided to be in the, not just decided, I don't like saying decided, but it really is a choice, decided to be in the child's life. I feel like that should be erased and
To answer Yellow Boy's question, I don't think it's a punishment. I think child support was created. I hate to say this because I want to get past this white-black thing, but I think child support was created by the white man way back in the day to break up black families.
Oh, now that's an interesting topic, because I have slightly read up on it. I'm not well informed on it, but that was created by, that's a whole nother topic. We'll come back to this topic, guest, maybe at another time on another show. Probably when we have our next guest, we might touch that subject, but we will get back onto that subject. Now, we're going to get, before we end the show in the last 10 to 6 minutes, on Spill the Beans. You hot on the block today, so I'm gonna let you spill the beans first. Spill the Beans is where we talk about, we basically spill the beans on something we either hate, dislike, like, or whatever, or something that somebody doesn't know about us. We're gonna spill the beans. This is us right now. If you have some beans to spill, leave it in the comments. And Pastor be spilling the beans when he be preaching. Y'all just don't be paying attention. Pastor be spilling beans when he be preaching.
We on a whole different show, Pastor.
But I'm gonna let you start off with spill the beans.
Before I go to spill the beans, I gotta get back at these church for real folk.
Uh-oh. Who these churches for real
Edison and Pastor tried to jump me last week.
Uh-oh. Oh, this is your spill the beans?
No, this ain't my spill the beans. They tried to jump me last week, tried to call me out, talking about they gotta wait a whole week or whatever. Look at here.
To do what?
To respond. Talking about they only got a show every other 2 weeks, so that we ain't gonna hear no response for another week.
Oh,
Whatever.
I missed this.
Yeah, you look at here.
I see. If y'all gonna try to jump my guy, I got it. Just off the cuff.
Don't be coming for me.
Off
just
the
'cause
cuff,
I
I gotta
spill some
defend my
beans.
guy.
And Edison talking about he saw it. He ain't commented not one time. He ain't said hello.
Edison ain't never
Edison,
commented.
spill your beans, because I know you got some. Anyways, I digress. We ain't going to talk about them church for real folk.
Spill the
When y'all
beans.
tune in to Church for Real, you know they got a podcast every Sunday
He
morning.
said, you know they got a, like, really, you know they got a podcast.
You know, I got to keep cordial, give us a shout out, Church for Real, CYA, shout us out. All right, let's go to my Spill the Beans.
All right.
I saw, me and Amber, where was we at? I think we went to go ride go-karts, and we saw that guy standing outside.
Who is that guy?
We saw a guy standing outside on the sidewalk at a stoplight or whatever, just a random guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had a sign on. We was riding go-karts, right? He had a sign on that said, Christians for legalizing cannabis or whatever. I was trying to read his sign, trying to find out what church he went to, just to see. I just want to see what was going on. And this is my opinion. What does legalizing cannabis have to do with being a Christian or the church? You know what I'm saying? I couldn't understand why he was bringing the church into his message of legalizing cannabis. To me, it just didn't make sense. Like, that's not something I would want the church to not necessarily stand for, but I don't know. It was just weird to me that he made a point to be like, oh yeah, I'm
What
a
did
Christian.
the sign say?
It said Christians for legalizing cannabis.
Yeah, he's just saying like, because for the longest time, weed in the church, regardless if it's Baptist, Pentecostal,
No, I get that.
whatever,
That's
weed
what Amber
has.
said. Amber said,
weed-
you know what? He probably just tired of them church folk looking at him.
Yeah. he just want to smoke his joint. Do you hear me? God ain't mad at him for rolling one up and using his blunt to calm his anxiety
You have to
down.
bring the whole church. See, that's what I don't get. Why he gotta advertise the church?
No, to be. I didn't see the dude. I wasn't there. Don't even know what he looked like. But to be
He
fair,
was a white man.
we,
Maybe
regardless
about
if
30
he was
years old,
white
he
or
was an older
black,
white man,
weed
too.
in the church has been so not even just judgmental. People make, and y'all might find out my stance on weed. People make it seem like weed is so bad when weed
I agree.
has such great advancement when it comes to the medical.
More positives than it does negatives. I think
Exactly. But they're okay with drinking and this and that when that has been proven to have way more side effects when it comes to alcoholism and addictions and stuff like that. But marijuana, it's only, like the famous Cat Williams said, it's only two things you're going to find out from when you smoke a joint or however you digest your marijuana. You're going to become sleepy or you're going to become hungry. Now, when you become, and that was the famous Cat Williams who said that, but when it comes to alcoholism and stuff like that, that literally like dictates your whole alter ego.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it really brings out the person that you are inside, because I believe that's why the famous saying, the truth comes out when you're drunk or whatever, and that's because that's how you really feel. So your real raw emotions come out when
wow.
you're drunk or whatever. But I ain't never seen somebody get unless it was laced or whatever. But if it was pure marijuana, I ain't never seen nobody. They become either sleepy or hungry or both. But I don't. Hey, I'm with that because
Yeah, no, I am. I'm a fan of the 422. I mean, it's whatever. All I'm gonna say about the 420 is if you're gonna do it, definitely be educated on it, because, like you said, there's
medical purposes
fake stuff out
only.
here, and there's stuff out here that can really harm you. So if you're gonna do it, be
Yes.
educated.
My spill the beans. Well, actually, I can go with that. People stop being so.
But no, not in church.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
not
come
bringing
in.
church into that. That was my issue with it. The fact that he felt the need to bring church into it. Like, I don't know. That didn't sit well with me. That was my spill the beans. Pastor, I don't know how you feel about that.
Before we wrap it up, my spill the beans is people stop being so judgmental of people. We don't know what people be going through day in and day out, what they go through at home, what demons they really deal with within themselves, or not even just demons, but whatever issues they have. Can we stop judging people, and can we just learn to love people in spite of whatever issues they come in to the church with or whatever? Because there's so much judgment out here, and everybody want to play God and play judgment and this and that, because we don't know. It can be the most. Look at Paul. Paul was a killer. Like, you don't know how God can use somebody and those people can still make it to heaven, but yet we act all sanctified and this and that, and we might not even make it to the pearly gates. But needless to say, people stop being so judgmental towards people. mind your own business. A lot of y'all have y'all LLC and being in folks' business. Please give that up and start minding your own business, please. Because if you don't, you're going to stress more and you might just need that cannabis that Christian was talking about on the side of the street. But at the end of the day, thank you for watching Confessions of a Young Adult. Today's show was live and packed. I'm so happy to be back with the co-host, Elijah Peterson, and everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We might have to speed this thing up if Pastor and Edison gonna be talking like we can't handle it. And this, you know what I'm saying? They know I'm competitive, so that's the last thing they want to see from Carter is Carter be competitive. But thank you for watching the show today. Love and peace to all. Don't forget Matthew 7:12. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you. The young people slang, that means if you don't want me to disrespect you, don't disrespect me. Peace and love, and thank you for watching Confessions of a Young Adult.
Sometimes it get kinda creepy when you looking out the window. You the one holding the squeegee. Who the one that's gonna clean up all of this mess? Big ball in distress. You gonna say his name one day. I wish you all the best. I give y'all a guess. Answer every test. All I did was rush, I promise he did all the rest.
I pray for vision, I pray for wisdom, I pray for weapons against the system. I pray for freedom to free the victims, to heal the brain, no pain inflict them. I pray for real, I pray for real. I talk to God, then wait for real. Can't fake the fall, can't fake the feel. I pray for fun, I pray for real.